some other things, but we didn't come to a final determination on what we were going to do. But
Okay.
And I do have a few things to go over with you guys, so
okay.
as time allows or does not allow, or more so the health insurance stuff. So it's really the most important.
Well, we'll fit you in there at the end if nothing else.
And then, you guys really didn't make a formal decision on when you're going back to the 10 to whatever hours, so I need maybe that for sure, or at least I did put it in the minutes.
Okay.
And then I kind of wanted to know what you wanted to do about next week's meeting, because that would be the October 8th training day. And then the 15th, you guys had said something, I think that's when Alexis goes to KAC.
Yeah.
And you were going all day the first 6 days,
Yeah.
right?
I'm gonna try to go.
And you guys had mentioned
Every
that
day.
you wouldn't necessarily have to meet, so I guess I wanted to see what it was that you were wanting to do.
I have no objection to canceling that meeting. You see a need to,
Not unless there's
unless something drastic came up, I don't think that it would be a problem just to,
Cancel the 15th.
I don't, unless there's something extremely.
We meet next week if everybody's. You'll be busy all day next Monday, won't you, Dawn?
Yeah, but I did have, I had asked Tami if she would be willing to, basically what I want to be able to do is have the employees that are not computer literate come up and help them enroll in the health plan. I don't know how many or if any will take advantage of that, but I did ask Tami if she would be willing to help, and she said she would, so while I was with you guys, if you wanted to. And I still need to set up interviews. I just didn't have time to call them last week, but I didn't know, is there a day that works better for you guys, or is?
I would say from here on out, there's not gonna be any day it's gonna work good for the
Well,
next
if you
2
just
weeks.
block out the 15th, 16th, and 17th for me,
Okay.
and then if in the afternoon is best for me, after 2:30, somewhere in there.
I'll just have to make.
Or first thing in the morning I can do too, but not in the middle of lunch.
I'll just have to make whatever work.
Well, I'll maybe see if I can't get them. I mean, maybe what I'll do is see if I can't get as many of them as I can next Monday, especially if you don't have a lot on the agenda, because I could.
Yeah, you don't have to be here for that, and we can just go into executive session after we have an open session to do interviews if they'll come on Monday.
Times and the,
Be fine.
write
That
down
would be
the
great.
times, so I'll see what I can get done.
Do we need a motion to cancel the 15th meeting, or?
Yes, and then should we just go after that to change it to 10 o'clock?
Do what?
Change the time, if we skip not next week, but if we skip the 15th, then do you want to start back in at 10?
I don't know if we need to, but
Be all right with me, I don't care.
yeah, that's fine. It don't matter to me.
Okay, so what Monday would that be?
22nd. So
Beginning October 22nd, we'll go back to the 10 to 1 time?
That'd be
yes.
fine.
And I move to cancel the commission meeting on October 15th due to the Kansas Association of Counties conference.
I'll second. There's no further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. And are we still, we're gonna do 8 o'clock with you on this coming Monday, and then you can leave to do whatever you need to do, and if you have appointments scheduled for interviews, you'll just start them at like 9 or something like that. Okay.
forgot to bring you guys down that agenda, but I put it in your paycheck stuff if you happen to open it up, but if not, I'll find out if I get an agenda on Monday.
We have a correspondence to the Lincoln County Commission. Many thanks for mandating the recent improvements to the Westfall Blacktop of East Elk Drive and North 290th Road. The work crew did an excellent job of preliminarily repairing damaged areas and then performing a very thorough chip sealing overlay of the entire length. It is wise to keep this vital Lincoln County artery in good repair. With sincere gratitude, Alfred Oftenberg. Does that mean next year is Barnard?
Sylvan blacktop, I think, next year,
Really?
every 3 years. Is that right? Didn't they do Barnard last year?
I thought we did Sylvan last year.
They,
Maybe that's
now
been-
they may have done some patching and stuff. They usually patch go over
I saw, I
everything.
think they went over that culvert again, that big one they put in. It looks like
Yeah.
they did another layer of that, but I can't believe it's been 3 years already since the Sylvan one.
Time flies. The older you get, the faster it's gonna go.
Gee, thanks. How comforting.
I've been sitting here for 16 years and that's pretty hard to imagine, let me tell you.
While we're waiting on our next person, just give this to you so you can kind of review. So Alexis had kind of asked me where our plans were at and for health insurance. So in the far right-hand column, in the brown or yellow or whatever color that is where, or sorry, the green column is where we are at currently, what plans everybody is taking, and what that monthly cost is.
Is that
and
the
annual
number of people, 16, on
Yeah.
that particular?
Yes. And then the projection
Excuse me.
is in yellow. And what I did is I know that we had 2 employees that quit that are single plan, so I went ahead and included them as a family as like the highest potential.
Mhm.
I still have the county attorney position. She hasn't made a decision yet what she's doing, so I went ahead and classified her as a family, taking Plan A. So, and I kind of put those down at the bottom. And then at the very bottom I put, and I'm sorry this is kind of small, but I wanted to get it all on one page. I should have shrunk this column down a little bit. But the 2019 budget is in bold, so
Mhm.
obviously we will be under budget by 14,000. That's if everybody does what they do. Now, once open enrollment is over, I can redo all of that to
But
know
that's
for
not
sure.
accounting for any open positions.
I had the county attorney in the HR position.
But I mean, there are always times, it seems like, when we are short of employees and things. But
Right.
you're not-
No, I just did like the annual, and this probably isn't a true annual for this year because we've been under a little bit, but I just took what we were as of the October bill.
So we went from 62 to 64, and that's because we have HR and the additional attorney
And the
employee.
Yes.
Okay, but what you're saying is we have a few open positions under this 62 number?
The dispatch position was on the bill, and the highway department truck driver position was on this bill, so they're already calculated
But we
in
do have
here.
one open deputy, right?
No, well, yeah.
Yeah,
So
They
Yeah,
never-
that
I
would be the
did.
only one
They
right
never
now,
have filled that
correct?
position.
Okay,
yeah.
so that's still within range
I
though.
kind of take it that they're not going to fill that.
Oh, at all? Did they stop advertising?
Well, they haven't stopped advertising, but
Yeah,
I
okay,
just don't get
yeah.
the idea that that's gonna get filled. I
Okay.
have a feeling.
Well, and even if it does, but a couple months leeway would help to make sure that that stays within the budget range, so that's good. That's close.
Correct, yes, pretty darn close.
Let's go ahead and take care of the minutes for you. So we don't forget
I'm
them.
so sorry.
I think this is just minor, but it might be necessary. Under highway department, Dawn, if you go to the middle of that paragraph and you have, line gravel pit needs seeding and the owner has requested additional acreage that was previously cropland be seeded and then the board approved. I think maybe it should say, instead of additional acreage, it should say the owner has requested the portion that was previously cropland, because that kind of gives the illusion that we're seeding their cropland and it wasn't previously gravel, or it wasn't used as a gravel pit, but it was. So just a little clarification. I would just change it to the portion that was previously cropland. Excuse me. I think you need to add under reconvene, no action taken. Or did you already have that somewhere? Did I miss it?
I may have it.
Maybe just under the reconvene line. We reconvene the meeting, no action, or however you usually put that in there. The nursing home portion, that's a little confusing. The top 5 that I listed off were actually hospital-run facilities, and then the question that Mr. Finch had is, were those critical access hospitals? So that kind of wasn't related to the RFP, but maybe just strike the top 5 facilities, just leave that part out. But you can leave in the RFP to manage the facility, and then maybe strike the rest of that sentence, because the portion of the discussion on the top 5 was ones I had found listed as,
So stop it after facility.
please, yeah. It wasn't necessarily to mail to those hospital-run facilities, it was to contact them to see how they're doing that, and then his question was, are they critical access? So that was kind of that part of the discussion, but the RFP part is fine, yes.
I did contact a relative of mine back there in Anderson County, and it's a critical access hospital, but it and the nursing home are both operated by St. Luke's.
What is St. Luke's?
St. Luke's is a nationwide hospital chain. They're a large presence in the Kansas City area, so they're like a feeder hospital to
Okay.
St. Luke's. And I don't know what their arrangement financially is with St. Luke's.
Yeah. Okay, but it is, yeah, Anderson is critical access, at least you know that much, okay. Thank you. That's all that I saw. I'd move to approve the minutes of September 24th, 2018 as corrected.
Second.
There's no further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'll move to approve the minutes of September 27th.
I will second. There's no further discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Abstain.
Mr. Gerstmann.
Good morning.
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 I'm here because I want to express my gratitude to the commission for all the time that you've spent over the last few years trying to deal with the nursing home issues, a situation I believe has been forced upon all of you. The Commission recently acted and formed a nursing home committee. Now that you've formed a committee, I believe there is an opportunity to give the committee a clear mission and the tools to carry it out. I believe a good charge would be to begin doing diligence and research all the possible options the county may be able to explore to stabilize, improve, and perhaps even expand nursing care options for our elderly population. I would like there to be an emphasis to leave no stone unturned and find every available option that may be out there. And then the committee can brief the Commission on what all those options were and recommend what the committee feels is the best choice. Then the Commission can act. To that end, I would like to request that you empower your nursing home committee with a budget subject to your approval for transactions so they can pay for research and have the counsel of an experienced independent attorney with long-term care expertise in regulations, corporate, and contractual law in this industry. The decisions this county makes over the next year may mean the difference between an opportunity for substantial, positive economic development and a sustainable healthcare future for our county. Or it could result in costly burdens we may be facing for a generation to come. Not picking the best path forward may result in the loss of nursing home care here in Lincoln County, which no one wants to see happen. I believe there's an analogy to what USD 298 was facing with some serious building infrastructure issues. Just to refresh everyone's memories, not too long ago, a representative from an outside corporation visited Lincoln, made some big proposals with big price tags to fix the school buildings. Some of these solutions also carried what seemed like very high ongoing service contract costs that would likely keep this company well paid for years to come, with higher bills for the district. This first option price tag to taxpayers was going to be as high as $7 million in new taxes, interest, and fees over 20 years. The school board for some time didn't think there were any other options, and similarly, I believe this county has felt boxed in at times with not a lot of options for its nursing home. There are always opportunities and options if you do the research and diligence to discover, explore, and evaluate what they may be. The USD 298 school board charged a committee with very specific goals. The charge was simple: prioritize all identified needs and find a consensus solution that everyone could support from the very diverse group of individuals that were on the committee. Zoom forward to today. The USD 298 school board cut the original price tag by more than $5 million. That's more than a 70% reduction. And the solutions found were proven, vetted with research and independent consultation with a licensed professional. Best of all, the system selected will be serviceable by local Lincoln HVAC and other contracting firms without expensive ongoing consulting and service contracts. USD 298 did such a good job finding innovative solutions that it was able to partner with the federal government and this county and other taxing divisions to fund and execute their plans. Just as you help the school districts here in Lincoln County, I believe there may be other taxing divisions or other entities that could help pay your support forward and help this county improve and expand its nursing care options for seniors. Forming a committee and giving them a specific mission was how USD 298 solved their challenging problems. In forming the nursing home committee, I believe you've taken the right step to expand the horizon of options that I believe are out there. From my experience working with USD 298 and being on their facility committee, I see 3 areas of concern with regards to your nursing home committee. Have you solicited a diverse enough group of people to be on this committee? Diversity of backgrounds and opinion is what fosters scholarly exploration and discussion. Does your committee have enough people? And do the people currently on the committee have the time to do the research and exploration of every possible option that may be available to our county and its long-term care future? And most importantly, have you given the committee the budget and/or tools it needs to accomplish the mission at hand? The challenge you face looking into long-term nursing care options is far more complex in state and federal law and regulations than just doing renovations for the nursing home facility. There are numerous state laws governing county-established homes for the aged and county hospitals, and some of these statutes were enacted to retroactively replace and take precedence over original statutes that were here in the time that our facilities were originally established. On top of these state laws, there are thick books of regulations from both KDADS and CMS. This will complicate the nursing home committee's ability to weigh information, advice, and evaluate the options that you will be able to take action on. I have 2 recommendations for this commission to empower its nursing home committee to deal with these complexities and challenges. My first recommendation is to allow the committee to solicit an engagement contract with a law firm that specializes in nursing homes, corporate, and contractual law. My second recommendation is that your committee needs the ability to solicit and pay for research, and this can be done through county-funded research grants to other highly ranked nursing home operators here in Kansas. A substantial amount of research is required if the county wants to turn these challenges and the demands that LPM Inc. has thrust upon us and turn it into an opportunity. When state and federal government agencies have a vexing problem and want it solved, they put out research grant proposals and they solicit them. We can do the same thing here in Lincoln County and put out a solicitation for research proposals. Throughout Kansas, we have dozens of nonprofit and county-run facilities and long-term care units, and many are highly CMS-ranked and well-run institutions. These are folks who eat, breathe, and live nursing home and long-term care services, management, development, and fundraising. Putting out a solicitation to these folks for their insight, and especially the hard data to back up their recommendations, and then scoring these applicants to decide who we will award 1 or more research assignments is very similar to how you found the engineering firm to help you renovate the nursing home. The LCEDF does something similar whenever they put out solicitations and applications for business improvement grants here in our county. We're just taking this to the next level. The solicitation can ask for operators who wish to author a study paper to literally solve the dilemma we are facing, and how and if we can intervene in our healthcare marketplace to achieve a positive outcome for everyone. The study can consider county-owned and management facilities, leases, management contracts, both using county-operated licenses or county-owned licenses with contracted management or independent nonprofit operation. It can ask for information on county hospitals that also run long-term care units and solicit for information on expansions and developments along the lines of greenhouse-style units or anything else we discover is doing well in other counties like ours. We can ask for information on the most important state and federal regulations and issues we want to be focusing on that match our specific situation in order for us to best navigate whatever course the study authors recommend. We can put out a request for proposals that list every possible way we hypothetically may want to proceed and see what the best operators in the state suggest along with all the pros and cons across multiple approaches. As expanding nursing home care in a successful, self-sustaining enterprise would offer this county a substantial boost in economic development and jobs, we may be very interested in nursing homes that have successfully developed expansions into related healthcare offerings. As with any solicitation, the application asks for information and credentials, and the application process provides in advance to know all of the intents that you, the commission, would be paying for if you decide to award any of these institutions a research grant. Just imagine if 10 or more reputable nursing care organizations apply for the grant. Just the information and credentials and backgrounds we receive before making any award may open doors and opportunities we hadn't yet thought of. If 2 or 3 study grants are awarded, we might find ourselves commissioning a study from a county-run facility, a county-owned facility, a county-leased facility, or even a standalone nonprofit. Throughout this process, when legal and corporate law and regulation questions come up, the committee will be able to have the retained attorney I mentioned provide opinions and answer questions. This is why it would be so important to have the counsel of an attorney who specializes in this field. At this point, your committee will begin to start to make some specific recommendations and give you some real options to start considering, and you may be surprised at the options that have been discovered. After the Phase 1 solicitation and research papers are received and evaluated, the committee and commission can immediately proceed to a Phase 2 if a compelling option is indeed found, and there's consensus support from the entire community. When the commission takes an action, a Phase 2 award can be solicited to retain the help of one of the previous grant winners to assist the county in executing the option that you choose. The commissioners can then have the expertise from entities that have already done this when we do this ourselves. This is when the relationship that the committee and commission developed with the attorney will pay dividends, because you will absolutely need an attorney to make sure contracts are done correctly and in the county's best interest going forward. And when and if the county does act to consider all the new connections and expertise, basically we're just going to need an attorney once we start actually executing this. And it's better to develop the relationship through the exploration process, so when the real decisions have to be made, you know if you have a good attorney who's going to help you do this. I can't overemphasize the importance of retaining the experienced attorney. Just imagine if the county had put a license clause in the lease that gave a county a specific option or transfer of the license in the event of it or default of a non-renewal when Mid-America left Lincoln, or even when you renewed the lease with LPM just a year ago. It is my hope this commission will follow the success of USD 298 and mirror the process that USD 298 used to upgrade our schools. USD 298 left no stone unturned in their quest to achieve the biggest upgrades to our school infrastructure in nearly 20 years. Many of us on the facility committee believe we hit a home run for the schools, the students, the employees, the community, and the taxpayers. We reduced what could have been a $7 million tax increase to less than $2 million in repairs and upgrades without 1 penny in new tax increases. And you helped achieve this. I believe a similar home run may be hit with our nursing home. I believe if you empower the committee to get independent expert legal counsel and immediately begin putting out solicitations for research grants, and maybe add a few more members with more diverse viewpoints on the committee, a home run is attainable. To conclude, if the commission and committee follow some of my recommendations, I believe you will be in a position to be making action-based decisions from your committee in 6 to 12 months from today. Along my original concerns about the makeup of your commission, I recommend you do add some members to the committee. I can help the committee execute the plan I've suggested above. I believe I was a very productive committee member on the USD 298 Facility Committee, and I'm ready to volunteer and help Lincoln solve its nursing home issues. Thank you.
I think, David, when county attorney was in here the other day, she indicated that she was starting to search for an attorney that
Excellent.
specialized in that type of stuff, because she doesn't specialize in that, and she advised that we needed to hire someone. As far as expanding the committee, I'm not saying that it shouldn't be done. I'm probably not ready to do it today.
Sure.
But I think we need to get a little start to the thing before we start expanding it. So, but I appreciate your interest.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
I would appreciate a copy of that
I
be
will-
given to the county clerk, please.
I will do that.
Available to the public.
Sure. Is it okay if I email this to her?
Sure.
Okay. I have notes.
As far as I'm concerned,
It'll be exactly whatever.
I understood, and I don't spend much time on the internet, but there was a question as to the meeting time of the Council on Aging.
Yes.
They voted, I believe, in June to change their meeting time from 10 o'clock to 9 o'clock. And I know Mona was there at 9 o'clock in August. I know she didn't get there till 10 o'clock the other day, but, you know, just clarify, you know, they voted to change their meeting times to 9 o'clock, so.
The Kansas Open Meetings Act has a provision that once a citizen puts themselves on a notify list, the organization is required to send out a notice, even for regular
Every time.
meetings. And I do realize this was not necessarily a surprise to the board members, but the reason for the law is that when someone is trying to follow meetings, especially multiple meetings, it becomes very tedious, if not impossible, to constantly scan notices in the newspaper advertisements or look at past minutes in a meeting. So you're referring to the post that I did. It was strictly for educational purposes because there was the confusion that happened at the LCCA is that when we mentioned to them that, you know, and I should say, we've been noticed before. They had been noticing us for all their meetings. It was that a member of their organization suggested that because they ran an ad in the Sentinel, that they were exempted from the requirement to notify anyone. And we wanted to make clear that whether or not a board votes to make a change or puts it in their minutes or advertises on a paper or a website, it doesn't relieve them from sending out that notification to people that want to know about when those meetings take place.
I only brought that up because I wanted to make sure that you understood that they were meeting at 9 o'clock now.
Oh,
But
no,
for
absolutely,
example,
yes.
the commission, we ourselves requested notification to their board, and what we got was this piece of paper I hung over here that had every month, and it does say at the top that they're scheduled at 10 a.m., and we were never contacted again, which is their due diligence and their duty according to Kansas open meetings. So it's just one more issue with the structure of that particular board. So yeah, they have not noticed us either of the new time or time change, or they haven't continued to provide continual notices. They just mailed that one piece of paper back in February.
Ladonna, we're ready for you, I guess.
I just wanted to talk about the bid that I did get and just our activity for the last couple months, what we're doing right now. Flu shots, we're already deep into flu shots. We've been really busy with that. So we have the Sylvan clinic is set in October 11th to be in Sylvan Grove. And then the following Thursday, Lisa will be there with the normal nurse clinic, so she'll have them then. The nursing home has the paperwork. We haven't heard back from them, and we'll go there. We haven't scheduled the schools because nasal spray is back, but we don't have any yet, so we won't schedule the schools until then. So just busy the next couple months with that. WIC is finished with the rollout, the EBT cards. Everybody has those. There's no checks in Kansas anymore. I have had a couple complaints from people who don't quite understand how to use the EBT card. That's above my head. You know, it's a statewide change. Actually, it's a federal change, so they're just working with them to learn how to use an EBT card, and we just keep working on that. The aid to local grants are due. We have an entirely new system that we had to relearn that's still not all the way up from the state. So just another change as always. We do, I guess I didn't put the bids in there, did I?
No.
I thought I did. Oh yeah, way at the bottom. We only got one bid. I don't know this person, and that was just for the concrete block part itself. I don't know if it's high or low or appropriate. I don't know. I guess, and I got no bids on the painting, so with us going into winter, you know, putting out bids again, I just think we'll get into winter. Maybe we should just table it till spring and try again.
What is this for?
Replacing the windows in the storage shed right next to the health department and painting it.
Oh, just the windows and painting?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually replacing the windows with concrete block. One of the windows is broken.
Painting the outside?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
That's the only bid you've got so far.
That's it. That's it. And the 23rd was the deadline. And does the county have any requirements of people that bid on projects? Like, do they have to have their own liability
They have to have-
insurance and all that stuff?
They have to have insurance. and-
Is there a list or a resolution or some guidance for me? Because I'm guessing that person probably does not have that stuff, but I don't know that.
Well, we've always required insurance.
Okay.
Is there a state statute on that you know of, Dawn? I don't.
Well, the problem is if they don't, if something happens,
I know.
technically they're on your
I
workman's
know.
comp.
But is there some list for like me to go by? I don't do a lot of bids, so I
No.
yeah.
I don't know as we do.
Okay.
I guess you can check with them. See, I don't know them. So,
I don't either. So are you okay if I just table it till spring?
Is that building heated and cooled?
no.
No.
I don't
You
think.
just have documents in there? Is that what
There's all kinds of
Yes,
stuff in
it's,
there.
and all of David's storage is in there also, of his emergency preparedness stuff is in there.
You should notify
There's
him.
electricity,
I'm
I will. There's electricity, and there's a window air that needs to come out, it doesn't work, so that's part of the bid. But no, it is not heated and cooled. Now, where was I? Oh, we applied to the Trauma Council for a safety grant to, do some training on texting and driving with our adolescent population when they get their immunizations. Specifically, we did get the grant. We're looking at purchasing these. When you put your cell phone in this pocket, it does not ring, it does not ding, it doesn't do anything. It blocks all incoming. When you take it out of there, then all your messages come through. We're gonna have paw prints print some, stay alive, don't text and drive, those kind of things. And the kids will get these if they come in for the immunizations and do the little training that we have for them. So right now we're just waiting for paw prints to have time. And the funds, we still haven't got them yet, although we've been notified we've been awarded. So, and we do use paw prints and the Sylvan Grove printing shop kind of back and forth, and we pick favorites. We just take turns. So try to give both of the kids some work. We are at the end of the 1422 grant cycle, which was a lot of planning money. We did get a card from the North Central Kansas Health Collaborative, which was set up with part of the 1422 funds. Stephanie Simmons, who is the over the Mitchell County Hospital Foundation, chairs that group, and all the grant funds come from that office. So that grant is over. So Gayleen is specifically just on our tobacco grant, which is about 6 hours a week at most. She's contracted to do that with the schools. Basically, it's working with the schools and tobacco education. So, the health equity grant, you'll be seeing more on that. We're focused on poverty and health in the city of Beverly, and I'm working with the city council on several things, but you may have sent some bills. We're sending 2 people to Leadership Lincoln County. The health equity grant has a lot to do with teaching their community to have some leadership skills to help benefit the community and the health of the community in the long run. So that's why we are, and then they will do a project for the city of Beverly. They'll work on one. And also Jennifer is their city attorney, and she's working on some code enforcement and getting a code officer hired. Kelly had some extra healthy homes and hands money that each city got, and that's what Beverly is going to use their money on, is maybe to get some ordinances enforced. So we're working on that. And then just the calendar, Stop the Bleed at the county training day. We've done Stop the Bleed at the Lincoln schools. 55 people were trained. We're going to Sylvan Grove schools November, it's a Friday in November. and then with the county training day. And it's basically, it's the old Army technique, you know, use a tourniquet and pack the wound as much as you can. But with the recent school shootings and the shooting in Las Vegas, they've determined that if they had training, lay people had training on that, a lot of more people would have lived because they died from bleeding to death. So easily a county highway guy, when they're trimming trees, could get hurt, or somebody could come up here and do something. So I think it's a good training to have. And then David got some money to purchase some Stop the Bleed kits for everyone. So I think it'll be a good training. And just to have those kits out with the county employees would be a good thing to have. That's all I got today. And reminding Terry, LAPC is October 29th.
I've been gonna stop down and visit with you. Do you have any available office space at all down there?
Could use one more office actually for WIT. We do have that meeting room, you know, but we use that a lot, so could be made into offices, but
I didn't know if you did or not.
I wouldn't want to give up the space. No, we don't.
Okay. I guess you can contact him.
Yeah, I will. I will. And then maybe I can work with Dawn on some kind of a guideline for me just to give to them when people ask to bid. I did have somebody come in and ask about the painting, but I know it was somebody that probably didn't have their own and never came back, so. Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you. We will have flu shots on training day too. That's all right?
Yep,
You guys?
fine.
Okay.
Okay, Sylvan Senior Center.
Who's here?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
On behalf of the members of the Sylvan Senior Center here today, we would like to update you on our budget, on our situation of trying to claim the $4,000 owed us from the 2017 mill levy budget. When we came to request the money, we were told that we needed to address the LCCA on the issue. Commissioner Wallace said that the 2017 budget money has already been appropriated and is sitting in the LCC bank account. You said that the Sylvan Senior Center should request it from the LCCA and they should pay it out to us. So, we wrote a letter to the LCCA politely requesting our money. We were told by the members of the LCCA that they received the letter, agreed with their stance, and were ready to vote to give us the money owed us. However, Commissioner Fentz spoke up in the meeting and advised the LCCA not to give it to us, so they did not. Now we are confused, and so is the LCCA. Why do the commissioners instruct us to, in this setting, to approach the LCCA for our mill levy money, and then at the same time send a representative to the LCCA to deny us the money? We are still owed $4,000 from the 2017 budget. How do you propose, as a united body, that we go about procuring it?
I did not tell them not to pay you. I said they needed to do an accounting to see how much had been paid and had not been paid. That is where I told them. I did not tell them not to pay you.
Okay, then the interpretation by them was probably so, because I have talked to Nancy Nitch since then, and we complied with the audit. Nancy Nitch and Judy Elvers will come. They're reviewing the information on what we received and our utilities and everything. And then they're having a special meeting on the 16th of October, I understand. And so we would hope to see that our funds are dispersed at that time.
I did not tell them not to pay you.
All right.
I told them to do an accounting because we had been hearing this forever, that you never got any money, and I finally produced the checks that you did. I don't remember how much of that was special stuff and how much of it was budget stuff.
I can say
We were
that
given that, though. We
Yeah.
already got that. The commission got
I
that
gave you the 3
breakdown.
years of financial reports from
Yeah.
our.
So we've already
But you,
seen that.
but you also said you didn't get any money, and you did.
No,
Well, I didn't
So-
say we
so
didn't.
No.
All I said was that they needed to go into their books and see how much they had paid you and how much they hadn't paid you. I'm not gonna take somebody's word for anything.
Our budget-
We've already been given those documents though, Terry, and we've already discussed it at length. And,
Months ago.
well, what does that matter? That means we've had the knowledge for a long time.
Could I request a recommendation from the LCCA in writing, or excuse me, from the commission in writing to the LCCA to disperse the money?
I don't know what that number is, so I'm not going to know.
Well, I'm not,
Whatever the budget,
I think when they look and they see how much they've given you and how much they still owe you, they're gonna write you a check. I don't think, there's no doubt in my mind.
why didn't
but
they do
just
it
to-
before then?
Just to take a piece of paper that says you owe us this amount of money without going back and checking.
well, that's from the budget, so they had the budget from previous year.
But Terry, my question is, why didn't they disperse the entire budget in the first place? That's why we're dealing with this a year and a half
I can
later.
tell you, there are multiple reasons. Number one, they refused to turn in any paperwork for a long period of time. Then they stated they didn't accept any money from them.
That was never
You know,
shown on
you,
our-
you guys are your own worst enemy part of the time.
As far as prior to my time, there was maybe one individual several years back that said they wouldn't accept money from the LCCA, but not in the current status.
That was in 2010, I believe, if my memory serves.
There was a letter, we got a copy of it,
Well,
that you didn't recognize them and you wouldn't accept money from them.
no, never said anything, we wouldn't accept money. We didn't recognize them as the governing body over us, because 501c3s are independent.
Right.
We're a 501c3.
And it was
LCCA is a
mandating that you
501c3.
had certain things in your bylaws and that you
Yeah.
did certain things and gave up certain records, which is not legal. It wasn't a legal request by the LCCA of the senior centers. There
It
had,
doesn't have to be a legal request.
It
They're
was
sitting there
what
with
I'm
the
saying is
money,
it was
They make
illegal.
the rules.
no,
Yeah.
no, they cannot, one independent 501c3 cannot tell another independent 501c3 how to administrate their
But
dealings.
one 501c3 does not have to hand money to another 501c3 if they don't comply with the criteria to get that money.
The criteria that they set forth was illegal. You cannot ask them to produce.
They can
some-
have their own criteria. It doesn't affect their criteria whatsoever.
We complied with the audit as requested, and we felt we met our requirements.
And like I said, I think when they go through and they see exactly how much they owe you, they'll write you a check for it.
Why wouldn't they know that already? If they're doing their own
Yeah, they're
accounting, why
doing-
wouldn't they already know that?
Well, for one thing, the treasurer wasn't at the meeting. The director wasn't at the meeting. So
Well,
who
they-
there had those
And
records?
they may not come again, who knows?
Possibly.
But
Well, I
But
guess
my
my
understanding was that they
question-
were gonna delay it, they were gonna go back and look through, and they were gonna come up with the exact amount, and then they're gonna pay you.
Regardless, I
But to
guess.
come in here and say that I said not to pay you is not correct.
all I was told.
That is not correct.
My
I don't care
question-
what you were told. You come in here and you make an accusation like that against me that is not true.
My question, Terry, is as the board, we did sit here, and Aljo's the one that said it, and neither you or I objected. He said we weren't going to disperse 2017 money to the senior centers because we had already approved that money back in 2017.
And when they
I did
determine
not.
exactly
Let's
what that
be careful
number
what I
is,
said.
they will.
Let's be careful what I said. When they said they wanted 2017 money, I stated that the 2017 money had already been paid to the Lincoln County Council on Aging.
That's exactly what I just
And
said.
that is where the money is. Now, I didn't say they should pay it, I just said that's where the money is. If you want 2017 money, it's in the Council on Aging. I don't have it. I can't pay it.
And we did the
You-
request.
Okay,
If you
and
think
that's
it's
as
unreasonable-
much as I said.
If you think it's unreasonable for them to look into their books and see what the exact amount is, I don't.
I don't think it's unreasonable for them to look into.
Well, then what are you complaining about?
We just haven't received the money.
Well, you're not going to until they look through there and get the exact amount.
But this is almost a year and a half later.
No, it's 4 or 5 days.
Well, it's
No,
26.
Since
they've
you
been
made the
requesting.
request.
No, they've been requesting this money since since we've heard from them at the beginning of this
And they
year.
refuse to comply with any of the criteria to get it.
I just told you that the criteria that was set forth by the LCCA, the demands set upon the Sylvan Senior, you can't illegally demand that another group do something for you that's
Are you telling
they don't
me
have to.
that the Dane Hansen Foundation has to follow everyone else's criteria that they give money to? No. They have their own criteria.
No, I'm saying if the Dane Hansen Foundation was requesting documentation that they're not legally allowed to request,
Then they don't
might
have to
not-
disperse the money. If the entity does not want to get it, they don't have any reason to have to give them that money.
But
There is no
we-
law that says that they have to give them that money if they don't follow the criteria of that organization.
We as a commission set the new criteria, which was have an audit. That's exactly, actually, that's what you said. I didn't even say that. You said it. You said after you see the audit that you'd have no problem dispersing money. And if you want to find the
We
video,
did.
we can.
We dispersed the 2018 money.
And what he's saying is they still have not received their 2017 money. We as a commission relinquished the 2017 taxes after the budgets were brought to the table and we knew that the LCCA was planning on dispersing that money. So what we're being told now is that we gave money to an organization that did not disperse it over a year
Because that
ago.
entity didn't follow their criteria to get the money. I sit through those meetings, I listen to your stuff every month when you were on there. You chose to get off of there. Now you have Bldg carrying your water.
There's several more than that.
What water exactly are you referring to?
It's a term.
Well, we hope on the October 16th meeting that the board does disperse.
I'm sure they will.
I hope so.
They're gonna go through there, and whatever money you still have coming, you're gonna get.
Eventually.
Any comments from any of those
Yeah,
members?
eventually.
That's all I have, I guess, at this time then.
I can only say one thing, that I'm encouraged in this, is that there is at least some communication. Now, whether it's very civil or not, I don't know. But at least you are communicating with the Council on Aging, and that's the only way things are gonna work out if you people continue to communicate.
And Commissioner Wallace, yes, we are. And Bob Loveless comes to see us at
And that is
Sylvan Senior Center.
encouraging.
And
to me.
Nancy Nitch does, and so we do have communication with some of those on the board. Any other questions for me?
Nope.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Bob. Michael.
Morning. Tanner did some checking for us on the Highland Lake Dam. Sent in to see what it's going to take to do a permit to do the repairs that was indicated in the dam inspection. And the reply we got from Ambrose Ketter at the Kansas Department of Ag, which oversees this, basically said that they cannot permit it because it is an existing illegal dam. And they cannot issue a permit even for a somewhat minor modification as this without plans to upgrade the dam to current standards. This would not only involve plan specs and a design report, but as per the above regulation, possibly a survey and geologic investigation. So with that being said, I'm going to have Tanner check in to see exactly what that would actually cost.
May I see that?
And I don't know what current specs would be. I'm sure it would be basically the standards of what a brand new watershed would be.
And I assume it would have to be cleaned out.
Cleaned out, dam elevated
The
and
silt
everything.
cleaned out.
And
Is
a
that what that means?
riser.
I'm sure.
A riser would probably have to be installed, because I don't think there's one there, is there?
There is
There's a
one, but it's
drawdown.
not approach, it's not
What do
anywhere
they
near
mean by
today's
illegal
standard.
dam?
What's a freeboard?
Freeboard's the amount of water it holds, available space.
So that's what they're saying. They're saying it's out of compliance, so now it's illegal because it won't hold enough.
It doesn't hold what it was designed to anyways.
The problem was going on before I got here. I
Okay,
can
so
tell you.
did
So
you,
it's been going on for 20-some years, that the state has been coming in and saying this and saying that.
right, but this other, maybe you read this to us before, but this says clear back in March, it was sent to Tanner that it says closing the road will not allow the county to transfer ownership of the dam to another party. To do so, I think he means to do so, we would need documentation to show that both the county and the new owner agree in the change of ownership. Did we discuss that? I don't remember discussing that.
I think we discussed the ownership of the dam, and there's some,
No, we just had a
there
comment.
is some, what should I say, conflicts on really who owns the dam, because it appears that what the
I think
county
that's
right
what
away
we're-
is in the middle of the
Pond.
and the road is on private property.
But what
And it
he's
was never
saying is,
transferred.
or she, excuse me, this is from a woman. What she's saying is closing the road will not allow the county to transfer ownership of the dam. You would need documentation to show that both the county and the new owner, which whoever's taking responsibility for the dam, agree in writing.
And that's why we did the O&E report.
Well, the last time we had a discussion, we were still saying, well, if we just close the road, then it's not our problem. That was, what, 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago when I brought that up? I never read this. I don't think we're going to get a party, one individual, to take on the responsibility of that.
And we've been in communication with Monty Brennan on this lately.
I have not visited with him.
You know,
on
he
this.
is, he's moved up in the state part of that. The other thing that, as I remember when this was brought up several years ago, is that the permits that were required for that dam were never secured correctly. And that has to go back to soil conservation or the NCR, ask the federal government, whatever those people were, that were doing that, that they never did follow through completely with what was supposed to be permitted. So therefore, this is a really tangled mess. County was never transferred any property or any easements. So our easements appears on the record in the middle of the pool. Nobody seems to own the dam. They think the county does, but really I'm not sure that that can be verified. I guess I would contact Monty and see if he knows who to contact. This may have to refer to the Attorney General eventually to sort this legal quagmire out, but there's some real problems legally when that was built. That was not right from what the papers indicated several years ago. So
I know somehow.
there is no way that we can bring that up to specs. We're talking probably well over $1 million, maybe more. I mean, we renovated one in Salt Creek Township, had to redo a riser or a drawdown, and it was not quite $500,000 by the time we dug through the dam and put it back. These are astronomical costs anymore to do that kind of stuff.
you need this back or? do you
Yeah,
have it?
I didn't make a copy of it.
But I would contact Monty and see,
Yeah.
since he might know where we can go to get some help. We've used a guy in the State Department down there, Salt Creek Watershed, Akeem, but I can't think what his rest of his name is, was very helpful and got us some money to do the project in Salt Creek, because we couldn't have done it without raising taxes considerably for the watershed.
Understandable.
Akeem Asadi, I believe is his name. And I assume he's still there. That was a couple of years ago.
That's in the NRC
That is
side
in,
or
that's in Kansas. I think that, well,
DWR.
I don't know.
Okay.
But
Monty.
Monty would know Monty would be able to, or, I can't think what the guy's name is down there now. He knows him too, well.
The tank car project up on X-Ray Drive, they should have it completed this week, as long as the weather cooperates. They're traveling over it now. We just got to finish one wing wall and removal of the shoe flags. Friday I had the pre-construction conference with KDOT and the contractor on Bridge OS 87. While there I did visit with Kurt Mahler with L&M concerning driving pile at OS 105, and he had it on his list to visit with me about also. So he's going to go look at the site and come up with a determination and give us a new price on that. But he is all for it. He said he's been doing a lot of county bridges around the state.
Does he believe he can beat his bid since he was already gonna be in the area?
He didn't comment on that, but I don't know why he couldn't.
Did they have a start date?
He's still trying to say October 15th. There's a little bit of optimism within KDOT and the engineers whether or not that will happen that quickly. He has another project in the state he's going to start on the same day. So
What
I
do
don't
they
know.
do with that iron on that bridge? Is that ours, or
They will salvage.
they will salvage what they use? They get it.
The new blades are supposed to be delivered today. We'll see with the weather conditions if they're allowed to travel. They haven't called to say they wouldn't, but they might be held up a little bit today. And then we're going to revisit again today on John Wolving with the working foreman. If that's something we're going to look into do, potentially adding a position there to help us along with getting some jobs completed and some training, or if
Do
we're
you
gonna,
have more projects that you can work on right now?
there's always projects. I know he is going to be busy for several more weeks trying to get caught up blading and mowing before the snow flies. But, you know, I think a lot of it's going to play in what kind of winter we have and if we're going to be able to elevate some roads, clip some shoulder edges and stuff like that.
If you can utilize him, I don't have a problem doing him myself.
What are we gonna do about that blade position if he does that?
We'd have to advertise, and if you guys are willing to add a position within the highway department.
So basically we're coming down to adding a position.
What did you budget for?
I don't believe I had anything in the budget for an added position at the time.
We also don't have it in the budget for an insurance plan. So that's going to pose a problem. And I would say that if we are creating a new position, we need to advertise for the new position, not just hand slide someone into it and then advertise to fill that person's position. If this person who currently holds the position wants to apply and that's who's selected for the job, so be it. I would be against just manipulating the situation where we should slide some people around and then try to fill in, that hole. That seems to be a trend that doesn't fare well.
I don't know. Without the insurance plan and a plan in the budget to create another position, I don't know if that's. If we can continue on a little while here, putting him on some special projects, while he still has his blade route, I guess that would be one thing, but I don't know if the timing as far as creating the position goes. We looked at projections this morning on health insurance, and could we fit one in? Probably could, because we will never go all the whole year being fully staffed, but or the chances of that are pretty slim. I don't think it's ever happened before, but you're talking about basically $50,000 a year by the time you do the health insurance and the benefits and the wages and. So I guess my feeling on it would be, if we can continue on as we are and just use him on some special projects, but I'm not convinced right at the moment that we can have a position.
I would not. I don't think we can add another position. I don't think we have the budget to do it next year, myself. I think we're gonna be running pretty close the way it is, probably too close.
What are your options for splitting up his route?
Until it snows or something on muddy, it would work, but as soon as it snows or is muddy, it won't work.
Pretty hard to do, depending on the weather. Dry, no snow and everything, you can make it work, but get some snows, well, you can't cover your routes,
We kind of looked at that here a few years ago, cutting down to 8 instead of 10. A lot of the times it would work, but when you really need the blade out there in a snowstorm and stuff like that, they can't cover enough ground to absorb it.
In dry weather, you can get away with it.
This winters we've had, the last 2 or 3 winters, 3 inches of snow, yeah, we can't get blizzards like we've seen in the past that fight all day to get.
Well, I would assume in dire weather like that, you wouldn't really be hauling or trucking anything, so what do the truck drivers do in that situation?
Some of them are on the plows.
They're around the plow trucks.
Might be on a loader or pushing snow or the spare blade or.
Well, that sounds like a solution to that issue.
Yeah, 'cause there's usually always something like, say, a loader. You got lots of snow, cleaning out drifts and whatnot, hauling all snow around lots and stuff here in town, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we haven't had snow for a few years.
We're gonna get caught one of these years.
I guess the only solution is that if we have special projects come up, we use him, and if we don't, we would revert back to his blade route. this time, but if it had been rainy and bad, we'd have been in trouble, because you just can't cover that many miles that we have, so.
Was he overseeing this chip sealing project?
From time to time, yes, he assisted in that, yes.
We got a thank you note here. I don't know if you got one too, but we'll just pass that along. We already read it under correspondence.
Yeah, I got a
You
copy.
got a copy?
Yes.
Had a couple of thank yous
Yeah.
from you guys that never got a note or anything, but working on the road here, requested to see if we get bladed. He was hauling a bunch of hay out, and so I got a guy over there was spot driving close and taking care of it. He called me later that day and thanked us for getting right on that. Sure appreciated it. So we do get a few thank yous once in a while.
When you finished putting gravel down here in the southeast corner, I think you were probably finishing up Elk, I'm assuming. Where did that come from? What pit was that hauled from?
Sort of on Elk.
Elk was Red Rock.
Out of Whacker, about 3 miles was Red Rock from Whackers.
On the Vesper Road.
Yeah, from the Vesper Road.
So, what was being hauled from west to east on 18 and then down past Beverly?
We have Beverly, we haul some quartzite, road rock, and cover up some bad places. And
From Quartzite or from our
From
pile?
our
our
stockpile.
stockpile.
What do we have left of that from last year's purchase?
Not very much.
Or did we buy again this year? I can't remember. I think we did once, early in this year.
If it was real early in the year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
I think we hauled a little bit before the price increase hit.
Bob, I had talked to you about, you said they were hauling up there. I don't know which pit it was coming from, but they were up in the northwest corner. Did they get some on Vine?
You know, like I told you, we're working over there and we're working across.
They're just not there
the
yet?
roads, no. We haven't
They're
got-
west of that?
Yeah, we're west of the highway up there yet.
Okay. So who's overseeing that? Is that Johnny Wolting? Or
No. I tell them, and the blade men, they know where some of their spots are, so I kinda tell them to pick out the spots that they need a load or two on, or get them covered up before winter hits here, stuff. Just try to catch those, and they pretty much know where all the spots are. Besides what I have listed down for them, most of mine are long stretches of grading the road or whatever.
Is that all you guys got?
That's all I have.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I interrupt just a minute? What was the actual decision on Johnny Wilting? And are we continuing the dollar per hour?
I think we take it back. Personally, I think we take it back. I think that he needs to, while he's working on his route, I don't know that we need to be doing that. If there's a special project come up, I would assume you would come in and ask us, and we would evaluate it at that time. Do you need a motion, Don?
Probably, since it was a motion.
I would move to move John Holding back. I don't know how you want to say it, Don.
Back to his original position.
As of October 1st.
I was second.
My question is, when Bob was gone, what was he doing in his place?
He assisted with the chip seal and the blade routes and stuff that were still doing their blading and stuff. He assisted in getting them pointed in the right direction and all that.
I know I saw him out marking where the patching needed to be done.
And they did
For the
quite a
chip
bit of
seal.
that.
And Bob would normally be the one out doing it. Johnny was out doing it. I saw him in a couple different locations.
So he headed up the chip seal project, is basically what transpired. Was he facilitating any logistics for, let me reword that. Was he helping to direct any gravel trucking? Was he, I mean, the chip seal project, I know that was ongoing, but was he doing anything else as far as record keeping or going and looking at determining where things needed to be done? I mean, you said he was helping on the routes, helping do, like, physically, or just telling them where he thought things needed to be fixed?
Some of that, and then he would look at some concerns if there was something called in, and he'd go look at that and direct the guys on what they might need to do to fix it and stuff like that.
So what was the feedback from the other employees on him giving them some guidance?
I believe it was all positive. I didn't hear anything negative from it.
So do you think there's been some re-evaluation or reassessment? I mean, you said many times that they've been adverse to training. Do you think there was some positive receipt of his constructive criticism or re-evaluation of their issues there?
For the amount of time he had to work with them, I think so. You know, it takes more than just a couple hours to be able to help some of the people
Issues
do some
straighten
of the
out,
stuff.
right.
Yes.
So then maybe we need to continue that
days
during
upon-
this weather before it does get bad. Maybe he can do a little more help
Well,
with
like I
some-
said, he's got several weeks of work to get his route caught up
Got
yet.
plenty to do.
He's got blading and mowing and
Yeah, there's no objection to revisiting this
Yes.
at another time.
I call for a vote.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nay.
alrighty. Y'all have a great week.
You do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Florence.
I have a quote from KCOM to update our Zetron console. We spoke with them last Thursday. They were in the office. This would come out of the 911 fund, which we have over 150,000 in there right now. After looking at our equipment, there's a few costs that he could take out of there using our existing power supply. I think that's a $3,000 expense on there. He was going to send me an updated quote. I have not received it yet. So it may be less than the 86,000 that it shows. That is our paging console. It's our main radio for dispatch to page out fire, EMS, rescue, turn on sirens.
When's the last time this was done?
2000, end of 2005, beginning of 2006. So it's been 12, 13 years.
Is that about a normal time frame?
It's, yeah, it's a computer system. We've upgraded the computer. They recommend it every 3 years, and I would have to go back and see when the last time that was, but it's only been once since I've been here.
I know we've done everything once since I've been here.
What's it? Yeah, once.
So I guess I'm just asking, is that for $86,544, give or take, is that gonna last a decade, is kind of where I'm going with that.
The machine itself should. The computers will be updated every 3 years, the tower unit. But as far as that, it's a little different console than what we have now. It's a computer-based. The one we have now is a full-size
This is
counter.
what this
type.
workstation
Yeah,
bundle
that's the
thing is called.
workstation. They offered a secondary unit, but I don't think we need that. It's a, either have a full another station or a laptop. But the full station was another 24,000. The laptop was 19,000. I don't foresee us needing that.
technology changes and I have to keep up with it, I
It
guess.
is. And I know David Doe with the repeater board is looking at adding a tornado siren in Vesper. And we'd be able to add that to the Zetron, no problem. They said it'd just be adding the tone box and downloading the software.
Is there like a monthly maintenance fee or something? Is this who we bought from last time?
Yeah.
Are there any other companies that do that?
I talked to a salesman from Motorola last year, and he was quoting us $120,000. KCOM's always been good to us with our consoles. Anytime we have any troubles, they're there within an hour or two.
They're in Sylvan, they're,
Yeah.
I know at one time they could monitor things in Salina and they changes to the repeater and stuff from Salina.
With the 911 fund, we can use it for equipment for 911, training for dispatchers, reoccurring phone charges, GIS maintenance.
Is
and
that
then-
what's collected on the phone bills?
Yeah. And then road signs, county road signs. Those are the only 4 things you can use the funds for.
I didn't think road signs was included.
Still is.
So this is you're gonna get an updated cost, is
Yes.
that correct?
It should be cheaper than that one, so.
Okay.
Any questions?
I didn't think so.
You bring us back.
I can bring it back in an
Yes,
updated
it's
one.
long overdue probably, if it's been there that long.
That's important.
It's surprised we haven't had problems with it before.
What happens to the old equipment?
That's a good question. I don't know if it's ours to destroy or if KCOM takes it to. A lot of, like, the radios, it connects to the radios, the base tower in our basement. So those would all be the same. It'd just be the hardware.
It's like we have 140,000, or better than 140,000.
Do we need a motion to approve an expense, or how do you wanna wait until the new bid?
We want to wait till the bid
Yeah, let's
comes
wait
in,
till
then
we
we'll,
get the final
we'll
Okay.
deal.
get
I
the
don't-
bid, we'll approve it.
I guess the consensus would be to. we're gonna
You
do
need to
this.
move forward, I don't think there's any doubt about it if it's that old, and we have the money.
I
And
will
that's,
bring it up
the
to
money's
you.
set aside for that from the tax
From the
funds.
state, yeah.
What's the
So-
computer update cost? If you said that hasn't been done too, do you have any idea?
It would be done with this
It'll
new
be included
contract,
in
but then
this.
every 3 years, he said they would just buy a tower from Dell that meets the specifications.
Oh, the computer was in this?
Yeah.
I didn't see
Yeah,
that.
that's included with that.
Or is that part of what this workstation?
It's part of that first workstation.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
I see.
The rest are just cables.
I see,
and
yeah.
Foot switches. We're gonna go wireless so they can answer the phone, talk on the radio, answer 911 just for the wireless headset. So that'll be a little
Yeah.
handy. They don't have, if they're in the restroom, they don't have to race out.
What
to
is
check
an
those.
annual income from the 911?
50,000.
50? Well, that covers it pretty well, because you'd have to budget about 10,000 a year just to cover this every decade,
That's why they have that, because none of the counties could ever afford to.
to keep up with the expense of changing over the technology.
It's based on size.
How does that
and-
come in? Do you get
It comes from the state, because we're under a certain population, like, we would not generate that much money in user fees. And so, a couple of
just-
years ago, they consolidated, and so the state collects it, and then they disperse it each month, I think. They send us 911 funds, but we're guaranteed a minimum of 50,000, which is probably about $15,000 more than what we would have received had we. It's better for us.
A little sharing from Johnson County.
Yeah,
They
really.
give their Sedgwick County's around 350 a year and vice versa, so.
Okay,
But
thank
it's
you.
helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Dustin. Tami, here to see us?
I guess so.
When the audit report preliminary came to us, we noticed that you had a checking account I'd forgotten you had.
The Register of Deeds has had one for 50-plus years.
And he recommended we do away with it, and I probably think that that's a good idea, just from bookkeeping. And I think Don visited with you and you had no problem.
No.
You know, the policy has been, or understood policy, I guess, for several years is that we want all money turned into the treasurer's office at least the end of the week, so we don't have a lot of money laying in drawers or anywhere else. And I'm sure it's no problem. I'm sure you're very
Well,
responsible.
Leanne and
for
I
it.
have discussed, and she wants me to continue like I do to the bank, so
Okay.
mid-month and the end of month.
Okay.
So you'll make the deposits, it's just gonna go into her.
No, I'll make the deposit to her the middle of the month and the end of the month instead of going to the bank.
And you keep what cash is there under if somebody gives you a check,
Mhm.
you keep it in your drawer, you keep it in the safe.
It's kept in the vault.
It's kept in the vault.
Mhm.
Okay. That's.
Yep.
We've had problems in the past. I just want to make sure that the money is secured
It is secure.
at night.
Yep,
especially.
very much so,
Okay.
all the time.
But, that's what we really wanted to make sure that you were on the same page with us with the audit,
Yep.
what the audit said. And as I said, I think it's probably a good bookkeeping practice that we do that.
Yep, I don't have a problem with it. I knew it was coming, just a matter of when, and I was.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other problems? Any needs? Good.
Very status quo, just whenever something comes in.
And receipts are,
Money is down,
money is down,
money is down.
continuing to go down.
Yeah, we're not gonna make up without having the mortgage registration.
Yeah.
There's just no way.
Just in the way.
Mm-mm. So revenue's dropping.
And is that true in all counties that you visited with?
Yes, very true in all counties, even the larger counties.
Who's handling that now?
There is no, after this year, there is no mortgage registration.
Okay, they're just not having a fee.
No, that's
The fee.
that's the state of
Okay.
Kansas.
They just eliminated the fee.
Sure.
Okay. So it's not even gonna be kept on the books?
No,
I didn't realize that.
no, it's going away.
So now it's no longer public record if you have a mortgage, is basically what,
No.
That I cannot answer. That's gonna be up to the title companies and the lenders. I don't know.
what do you
just
mean,
won't-
no?
I don't.
We can't, unless they give it to us, we won't have it.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, if she has it in her office, it's public record.
Yep.
So
Yes.
that's been all these years, and that's why you collect the fee and you keep the public record. But you're saying now that they did away with the requirement that someone
they-
come here and register it, now there's no record from now on.
No, that's not what I said. They're doing away with the mortgage registration tax, which is a fee based on the indebtedness of the mortgage. So if you had a $260,000 mortgage 5 years ago, it would have been $260 in mortgage registration tax that the county got to keep. Now
when
on
it transpired.
when they record
Right.
the
When they
mortgage.
recorded the
Right.
mortgage.
Now on that mortgage, I would get 26 cents.
So it's not done away with.
After this year, it is gone.
So you don't have to keep the record anymore. That's what I asked, and you
That,
said no.
no.
This is money we're talking about.
This is money.
Talking
The
about
mortgage,
money.
if the bank and the title company is required to be recorded, which I'm sure they will, then we will continue to get the recording fees. But there will be no mortgage registration. And mortgage fees is based on the number of pages.
So you do still have to keep the record. Okay.
We just don't collect.
We just won't collect
You know,
extra
collecting
fees.
money, there, it's,
Okay. Well,
It's
that's
gotta
what,
be
the question I asked
recorded.
was, do
It's
you
gotta be
still have
recorded.
right? And you said no, but that's okay. I understand now.
thank you.
Thank
That's
you.
all I have for you, Tammy.
Okay,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Thank you, Tammy. Don, do you have some more stuff?
Yes, I do.
And once she issues an official opinion, then when we make a decision.
Okay. I'm not sure why she sent this to me, because normally she sends it to you guys, but, the Cloud County clerk, she has a child that has Down syndrome. So she's really active in the state, and I think last year you guys did this, but she's asking that each county proclaim the month of October as Down Syndrome Awareness Month. And so it's kind of true to her heart. And the health insurance.
I move we declare October Down Syndrome Month.
I was second. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Is this the one we signed?
Yes.
Okay. And then back to the health insurance. Is that rate for the employee that I have identified, is the 10% still sufficient, or are you wanting to do something different? Last year's motion was that the employees would pay 10%.
Yeah.
I
I have no problem with that.
I think it's
I think if we're going to change that, we needed to be talking to the employees earlier, before enrollment.
well, enrollment is happening,
Yeah,
So Monday is the talk.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's what I said.
the
I think
cost
we need
you
to do
did was
this.
our average monthly cost, which we're gonna pay out, which covers the 10% for both halves of the year.
yes.
Mhm.
Is that okay, or
Yes,
do you
I-
want to
I-
do
I
the 6
prefer
and
that.
6?
No.
Okay. Okay.
You know, I think you guys are gonna be looking at some changes in the healthcare plan probably. And, you know, if something needs to be addressed at that time. I think that's time to address it.
And I think it is important for me to notate there are 5 people that are not taking the plan currently that could always, or if those positions
But
resign.
there's an allowance on here for them.
No, this does not include that. So, just so you are aware of that. I don't foresee any changes, but. Okay, and then the last thing that I wanted to kind of discuss was going to do this Thursday, but since not everybody was present, a lot of times you guys you see the broken out variances of people's wages, you know, all of the different categories, and it doesn't really necessarily show you a number. So everything highlighted is, and I just want to point out, our sheriff and our undersheriff are probably a little bit not right in pay cycle. Everybody that is highlighted made more than the undersheriff. And I included his department, and then I also included the ambulance department, partly because I just think that you guys need to know that the ambulance attendants are making more than your undersheriff is. And in some cases, more than your sheriff is. And I don't know. I feel like their jobs are important. I feel like when they have to strap on a gun and wear a bulletproof vest every day, that maybe they need a little bit more money than their employees. But I understand they have different responsibilities, but I also know that they go out there. So I just, this has been kind of commented on several months in our office throughout the years, and I guess I didn't really realize it till I was doing the payroll myself, and I just want to point it out. It's up to you guys to do what you want to with it, but.
Most of this occurs because of overtime, doesn't it?
Yes.
All of it occurs because of overtime.
Yes, all of it is because of overtime. But I will tell you, if you think your department heads aren't working overtime,
Yeah, they are.
they are. I don't know directly the situation in the sheriff's office, but I do know that they take every other weekend, the sheriff takes one and the undersheriff. And then I know, for example, that Dustin takes some of the or some of the time out when people are on vacation, he's filling those positions. I just don't know to the extent of how much. I've never asked him, and I don't know if it's really my place or if it's your guys' place, but,
Well, they've been unable to fill that other deputy position, so that's part of the reason for the overtime, but there's always gonna be overtime, because things happen right before they're going off shift, and
there it is. And I don't know if the answer is maybe to make the undersheriff, we choose to make the undersheriff, position not exempt, or we choose to make it exempt from overtime. I don't know, you were allowed to do that because it serves at the sole whim of the sheriff. It is their official appointee, but so does about every other employee under them, serves at the sole whim. So maybe the solution is to have the undersheriff position be subject to overtime, or they're allowed to submit.
Well, I think the overtime issue with the deputy is because we have an open position. Right.
partially, but they do have things happen. They get called out.
At the end of the shift or
Yeah.
something.
But the overtime that the EMS department is collecting on is because we have a 24-hour shift.
Yes, they serve
And we
two
do
24-hour shifts.
That and occasionally they'll have to cover a shift for someone that's not scheduled, somebody gets ill or something like that.
Well, I have no problem paying out overtime, except the fact that we're guaranteeing every employee 8 hours of overtime every week with this shift situation.
The other difference with law enforcement is there is a federal law that says that communities do not have to pay overtime above 43, or they do not have to pay overtime under 43 hours. So our law enforcement officers right now only earn overtime when they
44
work
hours and
43
on.
hours compared to every other employee that
41,
works
yeah.
40. And I don't know if that's really even fair either. It used to be okay when they were on salary, but when we moved them to an hourly wage, I guess I just don't understand why it's fair for one department to be on 43 hours and another department to be on 40 hours.
I
And
don't know why that rule or law exists, but
I think,
apparently there was a reason for it sometime, I don't know what it is.
I think a lot of times it was because they were on a salary, and so it was easier to stomach. But I just don't think that our officers are so grossly overpaid that we couldn't pay them based upon a 40-hour. And I had not talked to Mike and Dustin about this. I would, I know that they get a little, they don't wanna complain. And I'm not really complaining, I'm just kind of
Yeah,
pointing
bring it
out
to our
to you
attention,
guys
and I think we should address it.
the things that are maybe not necessarily fair all the time.
Well, and what are the options to do salary instead of hourly for the 24-hour shifts? Because that would put a cap on some of that expense for that budget.
We would still have to pay them overtime because they're not classified as an exempt position.
So then
Even
we need to
so,
address the 24-hour shift situation.
Good luck with that.
And honestly, when we went to the 24 hours with the ambulance, we didn't do enough research, and we didn't have enough forethought in front of it, because we probably should have adjusted their wages down, because you are paying them for sleep time, in which you could adjust.
Well, we also
just didn't
don't
do
have a
enough.
full-time position for someone who's there working hours, taking those 8 hours a day where we wouldn't need 2 people there. I mean, if you have a full-time director who's there Monday through Friday to serve those 8 hours a day, then you don't need partners on a shift for that particular time period.
What are you gonna do with the other
That eliminate, what I'm saying,
16 hours? We're
Oh,
gonna
no,
do the
you-
other 16 hours of the shift.
Well, obviously, you have to have a rotating shift to have 24-hour coverage. What I'm saying is,
So add another employee and add $20-some thousand a year in insurance costs.
no, you're
to
already
accomplish
paying the department head $20-some an hour, and they're only taking one 24-hour
that.
shift
You have
instead
to
of,
cover 7 24-hour shifts there somehow.
you're paying the department a 24-hour shift, which is sleep time, at $20 an hour, instead of having that department head there Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 or 8 to 4. That's what I'm saying.
You have to cover the other hours of the day somehow.
Right, but when the department head would be there during the day, you wouldn't need that second partner. You'd only need him to have one additional person there. It's because he would be there, or she would be there, to be able to go
For
on a
8
call out.
hours, then who's gonna
Right.
cover the other 16 hours? We used to do that when we had volunteers. We had volunteers work the bottom 12 hours of the shift. We don't have any volunteers anymore.
I'm not saying you don't schedule shifts. I'm saying during the daylight 8-hour shift, that overtime that we're paying someone, that 8 hours, their shift doesn't have to start until that they come in. And that one person works that extra 8 hours during the day when you have someone in the office because you're paying a department head to be there. Instead of paying a department head one 24-hour shift, you make the department head full-time, and you're talking a little bit of an increase in cost, but you'd make up for that in the overtime you're not paying to have that other person there 8 hours a day, every day during the day, when you don't have a director there. That director takes on that secondary or primary role, actually, in that shift for that 8 hours every day, 5 days a week. We're paying I don't have the solution. I'm just saying that needs to be.
When you start calculating in full-time employees on the benefit package, you're wrong in your assessment of how much money you're gonna save, I'm gonna tell you. When you add a full-time employee and you pay $20,000 a year in insurance costs, you're not saving anything.
I don't know what the insurance package is of who holds the position now, but what I'm saying is you're paying for a 24-hour shift instead of having that person be there Monday through Friday. And while that person is there, you would only need to have one other person there for that 8 hours.
And while that person is there for that 24-hour shift, someone else is not there. When he's there for a 24-hour shift, he's covering the shift.
Okay, you're talking about someone putting in 40 hours versus 24. That's the difference. In a week.
Anything else, Dawn?
No, that was it.
I want to listen and see what was said at the LCCA discussion. That was on September 4th.
You can listen to your radio. We're gonna adjourn until Monday, 8 o'clock.
So you don't want to know what the instructions were to the
There
senior
was no
center?
instructions given to anyone. He stated his opinion. That was it.
Then why did you go to another meeting and say something different than what the commission said
The
here?
commission did not say it. Mr. Wallace said it. And I did not
Why
tell
would you
them, I did
undermine-
not tell them not to pay them. I said you need to do an accounting to see how much they have
Why are
coming.
you speaking at the LCCA meeting on behalf of the commission? Why?
Because I'm the representative of the LCCA.
No, we didn't give you any instruction
I
on what
have
to
been
tell the
for
LCCA.
years.
That doesn't matter. We didn't give you permission to say that from the commission. What was said here at the commission table was not objected to. And then you went and said your own opinion at the LCCA
You
meeting.
state your opinion all day long in here.
And
you
you're
state
here
your opinion
and
all
you're here
over
to
the damn
object it.
county.
You're here
So
to
you can
object it.
state your opinion to all these meetings and stuff out here, and I can't. Is that what you're saying?
No, what you did was influence the decision
No, I
of
didn't.
a separate board that
No, I
acts
didn't.
independently.
The treasurer wasn't there, and neither was the director.
What
They
does
didn't
that have-
have access to the records to determine the proper amount to pay them.
We have
They're
had
waiting-
those
they're
records.
waiting
You should
2
have those
weeks.
records,
Big
Terry.
deal.
You have those records. The point
I
is that
have
you
them
said something
at
that
home. I
undermined
don't
what was
keep
said
them
at the
with me.
commission.
I don't carry those around with me. They're
But
at
you're
home.
acting like
I
that
didn't
information
have them
has
at that
never
meeting.
been. You're acting as if that information has never been given, and it has been given in writing to us.
Well, I didn't have it in front of me, neither did they. They didn't have it sitting there in front of them.
But if they were willing to make that decision, you're the one that influenced it by impeding the process. And I'd like to know why.
Because the treasurer, the director, there were only 5 members of the board there, if I remember right.
So you're very upset about this organization that receives a handful of thousands of dollars every year, $4,000 to $6,000 in the past. You're very upset about that, but we've never once asked for or demanded any documentation from all of these third-party issuings that we give. Are you going to ask them the same questions and show up to their meetings and tell them that they haven't?
They give us audits every year.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
Central Kansas Mental Health, all of those organizations, we get a copy of their audit.
And when I asked them this past year for the breakdown, they didn't even have that information to know how many they had served in our own county, but we're paying them. But you won't give our own constituents the freedom to spend that money. You want them to be audited for $3,000, but you'll hand out 15 to 20 to another organization that we don't get records on.
They sat here for months saying that they didn't get any money. I went and did a Freedom of Information Act. I showed them what they got for money. Do I remember today how much of that was extra and how much of it was budget? No, I do not. And neither did anyone else sitting at that table the other day. So I merely told them they need to check the figures and write the check for the proper amount.
Check it out.
Yeah, it's here.
You don't have, you have to have Hey, are you ready to take control of?
I don't know. It doesn't look like fun, does it? Are you guys cutting corn up there? Chopping feed or whatever?
Yeah, trying to cut the feed,
Cutting beans yet?
no, we haven't cut beans. Some around will be, but the
Yeah.
morning's like this morning.
Yeah, this weather, it's cool down. Usually weather here just slows down and it.
The long range forecast here, I go to 49, warmer as it could be, then they show about a week. Being possibility of rain, so that's good.
That's gonna slow us down.
Another week, we're gonna get the middle of October when we have anything done.
Right.
Then if you get a rain or something.
Then it gets dark and cool and it won't ever dry out, will it?
Yeah, it's gonna change.
Yeah.
How are you, Jane?
Oh, I'm pretty good.
Can we help you?
I get stuck.
Huh?
I get stuck. Whoops. Oh, I don't want you to wreck your back.
Oh,
Thank
hurt
you.
her back. I just
Thank
didn't want to let go and have you fall down and see you get the.
You sound like your sons. Very helpful. Very helpful.
Did I get all that dirt on that floor this time? Well, I guess they can sweep it.
They got a sweep.
Did you find anything?
Well, there's not very good communication.
Okay.
Shouldn't have discussions. Like,
I look at it this way, we paid our taxes in, give them the money and let them go on.
well,
Isn't that what we're being taxed for, is for senior programs?
but then we've got 2 or 3 tiered levels and
It should, as far as I'm concerned, it should go directly to the senior center rather than to council on aging. Because we're paying for stuff that it doesn't do any good for the seniors.
well, she'll probably say it does, because we don't know when she has a private meetings with.
Whoever.
You know, it was interesting. Just the other day, did you get your Medicare 2019 book? I had fun with that. I gave it to Susanna. I said, hey, read, study up there, and figure out what you need to do. Well, I don't need to do that. Did you do that? I said, well, there's a lot of words there. I said, that's what Teresa's supposed to say. She's helping the seniors down there deal with it. If you follow all that stuff, it's so complicated. It's so
You're right by, and she's not parked there anymore. She's taking her vacation and everything else.
well, she can't help them with it. Explain those books then.
the remainder
No.
of what
Well, I
was
thought this
used
is when she was
in
supposed to
Sylvan
be the
and
busiest.
Lincoln, we did withhold
With this coming up.
Council on Aging because they had not distributed,
Well,
they had
she
distributed,
might
I think payments
return
to
for
you, and
that,
they
I don't
distributed
know.
about, what, approximately 50% to the other 60%.
She's got another job now. I understand.
I think it was 15,000, they said.
With the aging? With the-
I don't know where she's at. Somebody said that she's
Which is 40%.
got another job now.
Has she turned in her resignation here?
I think she feels that she's gonna be put down on a part-time basis. She'll probably fade out.
I do see the importance though.
That's
if
just
this
a thought,
retroactive
though, honey.
is
That's
necessary
just
and
a
agreeable,
thought.
partly with what you
Yeah.
said going into the 2019 budget. I mean, we're going
That,
to have
that's
to
the way
make
the picture
decisions
looks
what
like.
percentage we're funding of what you turn into us as far as what you think your operating budget
Well-
is going to be. But retroactively,
I've driven
the
by this
commission
sometime,
placed the
looking at the car
responsibility
park there
on the
now.
Council on Aging to fund these organizations, and they have been doing that for decades. And then
At least
withholding
twice a
funds
week.
was all just a charade
You're
that
talking
had
about
nothing
down
to
just
do
east of the
with
post office.
actually funding the budget. Because if they had full intent of funding the budget. they
Well,
would just
they're gonna have to,
It's sitting in a bank account. We've been taxing everyone in the county with the
consolidate
Council on Aging to hoard a bank account that has been
responsibility
upwards of
between
$100,000.
counties. In a lot of areas, there need to be consolidation.
Yeah.
And just like they did schools, we can't keep
Funding
putting up
them.
money. Almost that way with these communication systems. I can't,
That's Mike.
2 to 4 counties have the same
Is that today? No,
radio systems.
this was a month ago.
Yeah.
Why do each have to have a separate one?
I know.
Here they deal with these dams having, we gotta bring up the government standards and pay.
Are they talking about that there?
Yeah.
Well, you know,
Sylvan Senior Center and Lincoln Senior Center.
that was approved by the conservation
Amounts of
district
12,000
here,
and
local,
16,500.
and they've got to fall back on them to find out why they put that dam in there.
Because
I tell you, I'm
the
confused.
conservation district gave them
Listen
money
to
to help build
this.
So I was
This
saying
is,
they would be
that's the
responsible.
government. I know. I know.
They did a cost share on that deal.
It's a
So the
microcosm.
conservation
No.
too.
I have a problem.
I don't
They
know.
should
Here
be-
he's
they
speaking
should
now.
be-
For a line that be put in.
Correct.
This is
So
2000.
who's gonna bring it up to standard?
And I guess the 2017 money you won is
They
in
spent a
council
lot of
aging.
months on that when they built that.
And that's where it should come. So I can't support that motion.
It could be a repeat,
Um,
probably.
I also, as I read this,
What's wrong with it now? Can't drive over it?
audit
Let me go
report.
back and hear what he just said.
There's a tube that's caving in. Larry said.
I am concerned
He said
that-
it's just- you can feel it going
Said he
down. He
could
said one
not
of these
support
times, somebody's gonna have a
some
problem.
motion.
They're gonna go over and it's gonna completely cave in. You see, we
I'll
have
second.
cattle over there, so we have to go across. But
I'll second
as
it.
for water, it doesn't hold.
And
a lot
what
of
was
water,
that motion?
But it slows it down enough
we
so
pay
that
the
it can
senior
now
center
blow our flood. But it
Now
backs.
he's
I
speaking.
have a problem.
It takes out a lot of grass.
We don't
because it
have
doesn't
the
hold the water where it
2017
should
money.
be.
This is 2018.
Yes.
But the government wants it.
And I guess the 2017 money you won is in council
You know,
aging.
my solution to that?
And that's where it should come.
Roll the thing
He
up.
just said
So
he
I can't support that motion.
That's the law. You can't do that.
can't support that much.
I also, as I read this
That's what they were saying this
Yeah.
morning. They can't take that out.
audit report,
Well, they've got
I am
one
concerned
for
that
this long.
that money doesn't seem
There's
to
a drawback
always
too.
be used for
It's rusted out.
things that we need to have a set policy what's been used for. And I have, even as I look at the books of everybody, I question whether, as Terry said, that there is a standard policy for what that money is being
Yeah,
used for.
but at least you wouldn't.
I have no
want to
problem
know
in
why.
paying or insuring your utilities. I do begin to have problems when we start paying for programs and for other kinds of things. I want justification for the rent and that kind of stuff, I have. I
We
think
haven't paid for
reserve
programs.
a place.
I know.
But certainly we have got to have those receipts. We've got to know how that money is spent. And I guess if I criticize the council on aging more, I would say that is one of the areas that they fell down in and not insistent. They seem to be more insistent on who was there and how many.
Yes.
I am more concerned about how that money was spent than I am who was there.
But I have a question. Why is it that you're saying that you're concerned about it being spent for programs and you're not concerned about it paying for the insurance when the mill levy that the public passed specifically says programs? If anything, we should be concerned that we're funding the actual structures and not funding the programs, because when the
If
mill
you don't
levy...
have the structures, you can't have the programs. And
Then
these
why-
structures are, I think, are more critically important. I think those programs, a lot of those programs can be free, they don't cost a lot. But if you don't have a good building for people to be there and stuff, the senior centers can't operate.
But I'm just confused as to why we're having this conversation when the total distribution to the Sylvan Senior Center in a given year for the past several years has been around $3,000. If you're talking about not having a problem funding their operation as far as their building, that barely paid the insurance and the utilities. Anything above and beyond that wasn't even available for them to spend.
I cannot deal with past history. I'm dealing with what is presently in our county, what I'm presently want that money.
But we are dealing with past history because we already distributed the money to the Council on Aging, who did not then in turn distribute it to the groups and the buildings that are facilitating these programs. And if you read the resolution that was passed, 3 of them, 2 of the 3, we can't find the first one, right, Dawn? We don't have the first one, but we have the other 2, and they specifically say programs for the elderly. And that actually does not say that we are able to utilize that money to pay someone's salary, to pay health insurance benefits, to pay rent, to pay electricity. It doesn't say that. It says to pay for programs. So those programs for the elderly have yet to truly be facilitated other than from within the senior centers.
I don't think that's referring to actual programs.
That's the exact word.
It's an exact program.
That's your money. I don't have any problem with it. All I have a problem with is the money that is distributed. I want it in a separate account. I want to know exactly where it went. I want backup receipts for it.
Yeah, the other thing.
The rest of it, I don't care.
But again, I'm
You can buy beer
confused.
with it. I don't care.
But I'm confused because the representatives that we have in front of us are representing an organization that only received enough money to pay their operational overhead, which would be utilities and insurance and structural things that they received. They did get some tables and chairs, etc. The other entities that have received this money from us have an excess of funds that they've been able to utilize over and above their overhead expenses. So if anyone needs this critiquing, it's not the actual group that is before us today.
My comment would be, if at the end of the year, any one of the 3 organizations had excess funds over and above what they spent, that their next budget should be cut. Because that would be adequate. And
Well, we did that.
I know. But the other thing too is like, what we consider activities or programs is exercise class, clothing, where they come together, the coloring.
Enrollment from Manhattan's coming up for our Medicare enrollment program.
I'm going to
Do they
interrupt you.
charge?
I'm
Do
going
they
to interrupt you.
charge
I
for
call
that?
for question.
I don't know.
I'm going to call for the question. We were on the discussion of a vote that I had proposed a motion. I'm going to interrupt you. I call for question.
And they didn't have any questions. It
I-
was calling for the vote.
I would move that we, at this time, distribute funding to the Sylvan Senior Center in the amount of $6,000 and Lincoln Senior Center in the amount of $8,000.
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, I'm wondering why you chose those amounts.
Because that's 50% of what they're asking for until we have a
We should have
decision
asked for more.
on
already approved these budgets.
maybe more later,
And now,
but I think we need to decide exactly what we're going to pay for.
last summer,
Yeah.
I know,
And the remainder of the money will be held.
I know.
That's correct.
Very good.
There's no distribution.
That's plenty.
I'm looking at this, when I spent my money, my tax, I gave them my tax money, and I gave it
The
because
funding will be.
That's my question. Who's going to create this list of acceptable?
I didn't give it, they said it's wages for,
I know. One job.
yeah.
I know.
Yep. Wow, it is so confusing.